Hello and welcome back to Elden Ring. This is part 4 of our preparing for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC run. Now, in this run, we will be showing all of the weapons, shields, armor sets, talismans, spirit ashes, physic tiers, and cookbooks that you will need no matter what build you're running in order to prepare. Now, last time we went through Stormvale Castle, getting everything we needed there, and here we are starting out in the Liurnia of the Lakes, at the lake-facing cliff site of Grace. Here there's Bach and a new NPC in Hyetta. Now, she wants an item called Shabriri Grapes. We picked up one at the very end of Stormvale Castle. And she asked for 3, you get 1 here.
Hello, my name is Hyetta. If I might be, would you donate my eyesight? As when I eat, it will lead me.
Whether you want to give them to her or not is entirely up to you. You don't really get a reward for it until much, much later in the game. Doing a quest and an ending that I don't want to do, and so I won't be doing that. But I will show her 3 different locations and where to get all the Shabriri grapes. But heading on over here, you can get a sacred tier and another new NPC.
Your then, believe it or not, for a...
He asked for 10 runes. 10 runes are basically nothing, so there's no reason to say no to this.
Well, bless you, bless you. You're a true... My name, presuming only...
Now, from him, you can purchase the Glintstone Pebble and Glintstone Arc sorceries, which you could already get from Selen, but unique to him is the Starlight sorcery, which is like sorcery's version of a torch, but it's hand-free. It's kind of neat, and you can also talk to him to get some more lore. But from there, we can move on and head down this path, where there will be some skeletons that spawn. Pretty easy runes. And they do have a chance to drop their scythe. The chance is low, but I personally am very much a scythe enjoyer. I think it's a very cool weapon class, so might be worth going for. But here you get the Academy Scroll, which can be given to Selen, which for 2,000 runes, which will allow you to purchase the Great Glintstone Shard sorcery. And that's basically an upgraded version of Glintstone Pebble. So that may be worth getting if you're looking towards creating a sorcerer build. But continuing on, you can head down towards this spiked fortress, whatever you want to call it, and you'll find more of these soldiers, more foot soldiers, enemies you've seen a lot throughout Limgrave, and a bit throughout Weeping Peninsula. Though, these ones have something new. If that looked interesting to you, you can actually craft them by picking up that cookbook right there. Though, personally, I'm not going to be going for it, because that's a magic thing, and I'm not doing a magic build this run, so I'm not going to pick it up, but I am pointing it out just in case it interests you. But continuing down, there's a Site of Grace here, and a merchant, so we can go see what he's selling.
You're surprised no matter. Why don't... Oh, but don't.
So from him, you can purchase a lantern. If you want, you can get some smithing stone 1 and 2, a cookbook, a thrusting sword, a glintstone staff, which you can purchase to cast sorceries if you're interested in that, the Kite Shield, and the Astrologer set. Now, the Lantern, if you're curious, does this. It's basically just the torch, but hands-free. And this is lore imagery. If you're interested in the lore, don't skip NPC dialogue like I am. Now, I should mention, Liurnia is broken up into 3 different parts. The left, middle, and right. And I am going to take this as 3 videos. And the reason I'm doing that is because the recording for this was like 2.5 hours long, and I would rather have 3 normal-sized videos rather than 1 massive one. So I'll do a video for left, video for middle, video for right. But here, that is an Everjail where you fight a human, and killing him gets you an incantation. You raise your hand up, it creates a giant fireball, it slowly moves towards the enemies, and then it explodes, leaving fire on the ground. If that sounds interesting to you, then you might want to go for it. But continuing on, we can ignore those enemies, and up ahead, there's another one of those spiked fortresses, or forts, whatever you want to call it, and this one boasts some new enemies. So, you may want to fight them to see what they've got going on, but inside of the fort is a gesture and the Fire Monk's Prayer Book. Prayer books allow you to purchase new incantations, but heading out and taking 2 rights and heading along this wall, you'll very quickly find a cave entrance. This gets you the Lakeside Crystal Cave. And this is very important because it gets you an NPC who both has her own quest and gives you a good Spirit Ash. Though doing that requires you to get another item later in Liurnia, so I'm getting that now, but we aren't going to be doing that right away. We will come back to it at a later point. For now, we can continue heading west, and you may see a giant archway made of stone. That's where we're headed. And as you continue on, you may find this poisonous swamp. That tells you that you're headed in the right direction. Here, the Scarab, the Ash of War that it drops isn't that good, but it is for shields and it allows you to become invincible for a very, very short amount of time. So if you know you're about to take damage, but you can't dodge it, that might be good. But here we have the village of the Albinorks, where we can find Horalu, or Nefeli.
Well, I witnessed the oppression awaking. Put this under the justice to let the scar. Put this under the justice to let the scars.
Getting ahead of ourselves there. But if she isn't there for you, go back to the Round Table Hold and talk to her and just go through all of her dialogue. But here, there's a site of grace and a bridge that you can cross. This bridge doesn't have progress, it's just here for a sword, which, if you want the sword, you can come over here and get it. If not, you can ignore it. It's not that special, but it does have some magic damage and it scales off strength and intelligence. So if you're looking to go mostly into strength with a little bit of intelligence, this might be an okay way to kind of check that out.
Please, no. Dear me. I haven't a clue. No secrets lie with me, not a one. Oh, please leave me be. Wait there. Well. Oh, aye, we're finished. The curse, man, I beg you. You must.
Talking to him gets you the right half of a secret medallion.
Then please.
And that medallion is very, very important, as it is crucial for 3, possibly 4 different things, depending on how you look at things. But it is very crucial to get. Even though it says secret, you need it. So get that, and then you can continue on. That those red scarabs give you your red flasks back, so if you've healed a bit, then you might want to be on the lookout for those. But continuing forward, you can summon Nefeli Lu for a boss fight up here. So if you need some help from her, then you can go with that. But down here is a rune arc. Rune arcs are required to activate great runes in order to get their benefits. And you may notice that I don't use great runes, and so rune arcs are completely useless to me. And that's not to say that rune arcs are bad, or that using great runes are bad. It's just I'm not typically a fan of consumable items, so it doesn't really fit with my playstyle, but it can be a massive benefit, especially if you're struggling, so you may want to be on the lookout for those. And as always, Square Off is extremely powerful. And the reward you get for beating this boss isn't that good. It just reduces like the damage and impact of headshots. But this isn't an FPS game, so you're not going to be taking too many headshots. So the real reason we took out that boss is because now Nefeli Lu is gone, and that continues on her quest. But now we are going to head down, and we're going to turn around and head west, continuing on through this poison swamp section. As you can see, it is poison, and so we're not just on our horse to get through things faster, we're also on the horse to avoid poison. But heading up back onto solid ground and past those marionette enemies, there's a site of grace and a tower. And this tower, it has a reward, but you can't access it just yet. So keep that tower in mind for later. For now, there's another minor Erdtree, and we can take care of this enemy so they don't attack us when we go after the boss. But as with almost every minor Erdtree, it has another Erdtree avatar that you're going to want to beat. And as I've said before, with Weeping Peninsula, these enemies are pretty easy. They might look big, they might look intimidating, and admittedly they do hit hard, but they are easy. But that doesn't mean that you should just completely ignore them or completely disregard them, because that's what I did here. I tried checking Discord, and man, it did not work. But many bosses have a Stake America that you can choose to spawn next to, and so that'll get you back into the fight faster. So yeah, word of advice, don't check Discord in the middle of a boss fight. It does not work no matter how easy the boss is. But taking out the boss, you will be rewarded with another 2 tiers for your Physic Flask. The one of note here is the Cerulean Crystal tier, as it refills half of your FP bar. So if you're using a lot of skills, or if you go into magic, that will be very useful. Now, over there, you may see a floating thing. We will get to that. But that's in the water, and the things in the water, for the most part, I'm going to leave for... We're just gonna put them out of their misery, not question reality. Anyways, we're going to head left here. But the things in the water, I'm going to be leaving for the middle section, with one exception. But here we're going to take another left, and down here there's another scarab, and this one gets you the Ash of War sword dance. I have seen some people use these with some bigger weapons, like I believe greatswords and halberds, so that may interest you, might be worth looking into if you're going with weapon classes like that. But here you get to the roads and the catacombs. This has more glowworts for upgrading your spirit ashes. So if you use spirit ashes a lot, it might be worth going into there. If I remember correctly, it also has a sorcerer spirit ash. So if you want to go with a magic theme, that may interest you as well. But again, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through there right now. For now, we're just going to continue on. And here, there's a shack. And take note, there's nothing here. You see, over here, back in Weeping Peninsula, which I forgot to show this. Whoops. But there's an NPC here who wants you to go to Castle Morn to get her father to leave. And that would be Castellan Edgar here. And once you beat the boss, he's willing to leave and come back here to be with his daughter. And we talked to her, we talked to him, we beat the boss. And so now we have to go see the aftermath of that, because I didn't do it at the time. Now, I've noticed that sometimes you have to go back and talk to Castellan Edgar. Sometimes you can just head straight here. I have not found a consistent method for either, but thankfully I got lucky and he's just here already.
Rena,
How could this be my daughter default life?
Oh, the foul red. I'll hunt them, rest assured.
But talk to him, and then you can head back this way. And where there were once no items, there are now several items. These are all just raw meat dumplings, which aren't particularly well liked, but gonna pick them up anyways. But the more important thing is that Castellan Edgar now invades you, and he is angry. And you may notice Elden Ring is a lot about just who's got the better skill. And sad to say, or some might be happy to say, but going with skills will make the combat much, much easier. But from him, killing him drops a Shabriri Grape, the second one, and the Banished Knight Halberd +8. And from there, we can continue heading generally north. And here, there's some octopi enemies and an island. You can go to that island if you want. There's a little scarab thing and it teleports, so you need to throw a kukri at it to kill it. But that's about it. And here, there's Never Jail. It has a giant troll with a sword, and beating them gets you a sorcery that creates 3 giant swords that will go after an enemy after a second or two. If you're familiar with Dark Souls, it's very similar to homing soul mass. And there are several different variations of that sorcery in Elden Ring. But continuing on, there's some red jellyfish. And up here there are 2 items. First one doesn't concern us, but the second one, the jellyfish shield, does. That is a great shield with a unique skill, and it is quite popular among some people who are big fans of having several buffs, because that is very fast and easy, and it's a decent buff, so some people like to throw it on. But from there, we're just going to keep heading northwest, kind of north, and we're just going to continue heading up into the 4 belfries. And we just want to make it all the way up to the very top of this area. Where we will find a site of grace. And good place to sit down, cash everything in, level up if you want to, if you have the runes for it. And if you need help, there are 4 Erdtree flowers here, which can be used to summon help twice. And here, there's a chest with an imbued sword key. Now the other 3 lower belfries have warp gates, teleporters that require an imbued sword key. This first one here, titled Precipice of Anticipation, is, in my opinion, the most important one, with the best benefits. You can get another 2 imbued sword keys for the other 2 warp gates if you want to hit all 3, but the other 2 are found a bit later. For now, this is the one I'm going with, and it is just a straight line to a boss. A boss that may seem familiar. We skipped them in part 1, but this is the boss at the very, very beginning. Like, before the tutorial, even. And, again, square off, very powerful. Highly suggest. And you can pretty easily bring him down with that by this point. And from them you get the ornamental straight sword, which is a dexterity straight sword and is actually dual wieldable. So, pretty neat. Not anything super outstanding, but it's decent. And you also get a great shield, which is pretty much a better version of the brass shield. Again, great shields have more hardness or sturdiness, whatever you want to call it, which allows more attacks to bounce off, though at the cost of higher weight and higher requirements. But here, there's this door off to the side that was closed in the very beginning. Now it's opened, and that gets you the Stormhawk King, which you need for Nefeli Lu. You can also get Stormhawk Dean, which is a Spirit Ash, and it's pretty good. It's basically a Warhawk, but special. So, that may interest you. But now we can head back to the 4 belfries, and we can make our way down. Once you make it down into the area with the trees, you want to stay almost on the right wall, just a little to the left, because coming up here there are 2 entrances. You want to go through the one on the left, and there will be plenty of enemies here, and so you don't want to go too far in, which the right entrance does, and you want to not run in too much, as that will get the attention of a lot of enemies at once. Now here, as you can see, we're down like 30-40% of our health, and so, as is tradition, we hit him with a guard counter, and we're right back to full health, because Assassin's Crimson Dagger is very good with these guard counter builds. And so, I wouldn't underestimate how powerful those are, and I would highly suggest at least trying it out. But here, we get a Smithing Stone 4, and there's a cliffside here with some enemies, and you may want to take them out so they don't come after you later. Though, the knight may have some vertical difficulties, but that's okay, because you won't for long. But the knight isn't who will be going after you, really. It'll be this guy. If you keep him alive, then when you go down into this lower section, he'll just constantly pepper you with the glintstone pebbles. So, you want to take him out before he has the chance to do that. But continuing on down, there are more enemies, And there's nothing too special here. Like, there's some normal items, but like I said, nothing outstanding. But if you like to be thorough, or if you need some more runes, that might be worth going into. But as you can see there, we took a hit, we took some damage, right back to full health. But here, there's another rune arc. Like I said, if you use great runes, you want to be on the lookout for those. But that's everything here, and so you can continue making your way down. And you'll start to see this, like, caravan. Just a massive group of enemies following this carriage. If you hit the trolls, they stop, and that allows you to open up the chest. And this chest has the Carrion Knight Sword. This is another physical magic weapon that goes off strength, dex, and intelligence. And it has the skill Carrion Grandeur, which was very popular in the early days of Elden Ring. Now here, earlier I said that I was going to leave the water section for the middle, like the middle part, with one exception. This is that one exception. Because if we were to do this in the middle, we would have to go pretty out of our way. But here, there's another little graveyard area. Lots of golden runes that you can pick up and pop. Just free, easy runes without needing to fight. But if you want, you can fight these enemies to get even more. And here, there are these floating balloon things. Using a bow, or a sorcery, or even a throwing dagger, you can pop those and get an easy Golden Rune 6. And there's a handful of these around this area. In case you don't know, Golden Rune 6 gives you 1,200 runes. So here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's like 6,000 runes. Just like that. Very easy. But then there's also this island with a site of grace. And on this island is another one of these towers. Just like the Weeping Peninsula, you have to seek 3 wise beasts. So you want to head off to the left, where the first one is immediately right here. Very easy. The second one is behind the tower. It is up on a tree. So you want some kind of range to deal with that. And for the third one, you want to look off to the left and down, and you should see one by a tree. And with that, the seal is broken, and you are free to go get your prize. And as I said with the one on Weeping Peninsula, these give memory stones, which are pretty much useless to a melee build. So, not going to do anything for my character here, but this isn't just for my character, this is for every different kind of build. So, if you're running sorceries or incantations, you now have another slot. But from there, we can head down and continue making progress. So, heading out, we are going to be heading north. Almost pure north, maybe a bit to the west. Those octopi enemies, it's just to the right of them, where you'll be finding another path, and quickly on this path, you will find the map for Liurnia West. Liurnia has 3 different maps, because it is so big. And again, that's why I'm breaking it into 3 different videos, because this area is just massive. But we can head through those ruins. There's an illusionary wall, a site of grace. We're going to sit down to de-aggro the enemies. And then here, there's another NPC that we can talk to.
Well, I presume. Oh, I am old, so yeah. Perhaps you.
From him, you can purchase Somber Smithing Stone 1 through 4, and you can upgrade your weapon just like with Blacksmith Hugh.
Oh, when if you come to, I am Toten. Brave is territory. When the raid after Levicarian, I conject is one less you.
And after talking for a bit, you can say that Blythe sent you, assuming you helped him in Limgrave.
Lie, quite a rare, perhaps at any rate.
And upon doing that, you can purchase Carrion Filigreed Crest. This is a talisman that lowers the amount of FP you use per skill. So, if you use a lot of skills, that's very good. And there's a few things that we're going to be doing before we end this. The first is heading back into the ruins and heading southeast until we can safely drop down. And then we are going to be heading across and staying pretty much near the left wall. And I got a little lost here because I was not paying attention to the game. Again, do not try to check Discord when you are going through things, when you're playing a game. It will not end super well, even if you're not in combat. But got done checking that at the time. And remember to pick up crystal buds, as they are a very good item for crafting. And here in the back corner is the intelligence not crystal tier. This can be put into your Flask of Wondrous Physic to increase your intelligence stat by 5 points for a period of time. And from there, we can head back to the Site of Grace by teleporting. And now we can head up towards the manor. Now, there is a trap. It just continuously spawns, so be careful of that. Don't just go into autopilot mode. But don't be afraid if you get hit by 1 or 2, as they don't do that much damage. Like, you can survive a few hits. But here, there's a Site of Grace for Caria Manor, though as much as I love Caria Manor, it is a legacy dungeon, and so will not be part of this. It is going to have its own dedicated video. It might be paired with Rylcaria as a 2-in-1. Maybe. We'll see. For now, we can head down here, and in this little lake area, whatever you want to call it, there's an invisible scarab running around that will give an Ash of War. And I found that it's good to stay in one place where you know it's going to end up instead of trying to chase it around. And properly time the swing, and you can get the Ash of War Hoarfrost Stomp. Now, if you don't want to properly time the swing, you can put Glintblade Phalanx on a weapon, like on a secondary weapon, spawn it, turn around, and just crouch, and the scare will just run into it and destroy itself. And so that is a pretty good option, and something that I do quite a lot. And so if you're struggling to hit those, it might be worth trying to do that. But that's this entire left section. Next time we will be going through the middle. And here at the converted tower, we haven't forgotten about this. That's what they look like on the map, by the way. But again, we will get those later. For now, I'll see you in the next video.